It's Judy.
Judy, well, I just.
Judge Judy.
Bite your tongue. All right, so calling the playground subcommittee to order.
Approval of the minutes.
Approval of the minutes. All,
Motion to approve.
motion to approve?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
There you
Yeah, he's got it. Okay, so first up is the ORPT and bond bill grant update. So the city resolution passed. There was one or two lines in there that need to be updated. They were that the first grant, $100,000, could be used exclusively for equipment, that's fine. But the second part, $60,000 grant, which is our second grant, could be used exclusively for surfacing. We need to change that so that it can be used for surfacing and whatever left over will be used for equipment.
Well,
So,
I just said, I thought it said not to exceed $60,000.
the way it, here, I have the language
Okay,
here.
can you read it off for me?
Yeah.
Just,
The total cost of the installation of the pathway may not exceed 60,000.
correct, so that was, the way it was written that way was because phase one, we have $100,000 for
Mhm.
the playground equipment. The grant was for pathway, it was for $60, not to exceed that.
Mhm.
So that just, in my opinion, and like I said, I can follow up with the lawyers later on, but it's pretty much. The city's not gonna give you another 10, not give us the playground another 10
Mhm.
for the walkway. So if it goes to 70, we gotta come up with that extra 10.
Okay.
But if it only goes to 20, council can reappropriate that money to go to equipment.
The equipment, okay, and so then we have a pathway forward to spend that money
Correct.
on equipment, should we have it to spend. All right, so the other impediment to this is the trustees need to approve the grant. And I spoke to Pete Toner this afternoon, and this is the issue that they have. They are proposing to the city that they give the money to the city for the mulch and for the installation of the mulch. In the past, they bought the mulch and they installed the mulch. Going forward, they want to give the city the money for the mulch and to install the mulch so that they do not have the liability. They're also concerned about FOIA. If they look like a governmental body, then they could by buying mulch and by, installing it, they do, then they are more likely to be subject to FOIA. Since they don't want that, they would prefer that the city take on this task. So that needs to be negotiated, that needs to be confirmed.
Correct.
And Mike, I don't know what the next step is for that. When I spoke to Pete, he seemed to indicate that Bill, when he gets back from vacation, might be able to take care of this easily. So that it doesn't require another vote, so it's an open question as to whether or not. That's something that will take time, or whether or not it's something that can be resolved very quickly.
Is that a one-time? Are they offering that for a one-time, or is that gonna be an annual?
I actually don't know the answer to that. I'm assuming from what I've heard in past conversations, but it does have to be confirmed that it's not a one-time, that it's an ongoing thing. But that's a very good question, and that's something that we need to, that we find an answer for.
Because they have been doing
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping,
Correct.
just don't wanna get caught in language where it says, oh,
it. Good
One and
point.
done, right?
Yeah, but the city's there for it too, I mean, it's.
So at least that was an explanation that I could understand, and that's something that, going forward, the city and the trustee just need to confirm how they're gonna work together, and then we should be able to proceed. Moving on to the playground equipment update, we're still in a holding pattern. We're waiting for the surfacing estimate to come back. We're part of a larger proposal for the city. Hopefully that'll give us better pricing. Hopefully it'll be a lot less than $60,000. We'll have extra money to put toward the playground, but we can't place an order clearly until we know how much extra we hopefully have.
Can I ask a question? Because it was raised, there's a concern raised with inflation and prices go up and us
Right.
basically losing things. Can't we put a partial order in, or do we have to go 100%? Can we take the 100,000 that we have right now and at least invest it so we don't lose anything and anymore? To cost of,
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. There is a portion of that playground equipment that is essential, and that's the ADA ramp. and it's the borders. And depending on how much money we have extra from the surfacing, the thought was that we could use a second vendor who was cheaper for those two things than going with the playground vendor. So, I mean, the question is how much money we
Okay,
have.
and talking with Tomer. I thought they said we could have the borders. I know there was a point of concern raised last month,
Mhm.
but my understanding is we have it borders.
When I asked them, and this goes back several months, whether we could reuse the borders, they said that probably.
Yeah, I'll get clarification because I think, I mean, I don't know what kind of shape they're in.
Mhm.
I don't know what they look like compared to the new ones type
Mhm.
thing, but if we could save money on that, that would be a bad thing. And his attitude to me was, what are we gonna do with them?
Right, no, I think the question was whether they were still usable.
Well, okay, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, that makes more sense then.
Okay, second thing that we're hoping for, and Leonard Sofran, who we have, has been part of our process overseeing, helping us, lending a hand, has agreed to review our plan. He has it. And I just wanted final feedback from him, just to make sure from an experienced playground planner, if there's anything that he thinks we should add before the order goes in. So I'm waiting to hear back from him. So that's the update on the playground equipment, and for the neighborhood playgrounds update, I'm gonna turn this over to Brian. Sorry to surprise you.
Thank you, Suzanne. So the update in respect to the neighborhood playgrounds, first and foremost, there was, an identification of an additional neighborhood park, that is located, it's down here off of, 9. Sorry.
So,
No, it's not Dobbins.
That's with P, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's the other term escaping me. I'll circle back to that, sorry about that. But in respect to the feedback from the neighborhood playgrounds, there were 21 survey results that were fielded. After having advertising placed physically at each playground. The overwhelming majority of the feedback was requesting equipment for the 2 to 5 year age range children. Specifically, there was a request for equipment that could, 1, people could climb on, and 2, could turn in equipment. So that was the feedback that, from the results.
Penn Valley.
Penn Valley is
there's a
the,
playground back there?
yeah, there is.
Not in a good shape, but there's one. Yeah, we took some, well, I didn't think.
That's a horseshoe.
Brian and,
Yeah,
that's a horseshoe.
It's gonna down back in that neighborhood.
Back there.
it was like a
I've
basketball
been back there
court.
2,000 times and never caught my eye.
It's kind of like a dead end. It's
Right.
kind of back almost against, I guess.
Oh, where that Pittsburgh Trail?
Yeah.
That fire road goes through. Okay, okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes. So that was the results of the equipment. Some people left their email addresses, other people left their phone numbers. In general, there were responses filtered from all of the playgrounds, with Van Dyke and Dobbinsville yielding the most results. Buttonwood just yielded 1 result. So that's the update on neighborhood playground.
And then we're going to have a meeting on March 7th.
Yes, our friends, and some of our, neighbors in respect to Encore, are working on, hosting an event at the library, to pretty much take in some of the data, from some of the folks in the neighborhood, and we'll bring it back, to the subcommittee, and to council.
That's fine.
Frank, can I ask what the goal is with this? I mean, I know we want to update the playgrounds and whatnot, but is it something we're going to take, kind of throw at the city budget? So forth, because even the money from the state, it's a limited pot.
Yeah,
And like last year, it went to the boat run for the fire department. This year, a chunk of it went to the playground. I mean, it's just it's a good thing to know when we go into our budget season, which starts in May.
Yeah.
You know, what's expected.
I think, and I'm only one person, but I think, this, task is just being done, to provide feedback,
Okay.
to council, to leadership, in respect to its constituents. And, what they use, what they don't use, and, the leaders in those positions will do with it what they may.
Okay, that's great, because there's never been one like that, so
Yeah.
I was just looking at the scope of it.
Yeah, that's what I
And-
think.
I guess the other thing too, there's been, we email around.
Hmm.
For some reason with this FOIA stuff, guys, I don't have experience, to be honest with you. They're saying only two of us can go. And we're private citizens. I don't know how to advise you. I can talk to our new solicitor. You know, I know I can go out to dinner or be in the same room with three other council people as long as we're not discussing business. My opinion, and I could be 100% wrong, so let's just say that. If you were to attend the meeting and say nothing, you're not making a decision.
Mhm.
So I think that would have to be taken up with the solicitor. Because there's been times where I've been to a meeting and there was three council people at that meeting. And it was informational only type thing. So but I don't want to say it's okay and then have an issue with it.
Right, when I went through the FOIA recommendations that you gave us at the
Right,
first
right.
meeting, it said we could have 3 people, and I know 2 is safety.
Right.
But I'm hoping that we can expand to 3 in this situation. And really, we're looking for feedback from people who use the other parks, the other neighborhood parks.
Right.
So one idea that might help this is that if we have 3 people and then if a 4th person comes, 1 person leaves. And there's rotation.
I mean, how are you guys gonna do it? I mean, like I said, I plan on attending this as president of the council. And I think that's well within my right as long as I say nothing. Like, I think you should be there because you have all the information to give. So I mean, I'm just throwing it out there because I don't know who's all copied on emails anymore and things like that. So I just want everybody to know that.
Okay. Well,
It's
thank you.
not against the attendance. I'm just saying that's what the rules say it has to happen.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, any public comments? Nope, thank you.
Something minor, Buttonwood, where their, little playground is, they feel that it's so ancient and dilapidated, so I don't know what the one feedback that you did get, but after canvassing the neighborhood and talking to people, I would try and revisit that, because a lot of people might not have seen the sign. But there were at least 4 or 5 people that made a comment about it being ancient and dilapidated, and plus with the possibility of a few more houses being built along that street in particular. It might be nice for new potential residents to see, you know, a little nicer, more usable set. And by the way, I think I've said in the past, Leonard, he's golden. I mean, I've known him for 30 years, so if he's involved, not that he didn't have my stamp of support before, but he's golden. So thank you.
Sure. Any comments?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second,
Motion
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Meeting adjourned.
meeting adjourned. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
That wooden block.
It's a cave, I'm telling you.